Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girdharidhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girdharidhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girdharidhari Gopi Janavallabha Girdharidhari Jaisacinandana Braja Janaranjana Jaisacinandana Braja Janaranjana Jaisacinandana Braja Janaranjana Jaisacinandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanacharim Jamuna Tira Vanacharim Jamuna Tira Vanacharim Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Radhanath, Radha Radhanath, Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gaura Hare, Gaura Hare, Gaura Hare, Jaya Gaura Hare. Nitya Go Haribo, 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 God Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Dr. Srimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Bhakti Vedanta Purports Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. With lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. We are doing 10, text 10. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class this morning. We're reading from the 4th canto, chapter 14, text number 10. The story of King Vena. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaivam narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet nasta prayasya bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. You have sheets or you? No. Okay. We'll do the word. Ahe, pa, eva, paya, posha, poshakasya, api, anatha, brit, vena, prakritya, eva, kalaha, sunita, garba, Sambhava. Ahireva paya posha. Ahireva paya posha. Posha kasya piyanata breed. Posha kasya piyanata breed. Vena prakrityeva kala. Vena prakrityeva kala. Sunita garba sambhava. Ahireva paya posha. Posha kasya pyanata breed. Vena prakrityeva kala. Sunita garba sambhava. Ahireva paya posha. Posha kasya pyanata breed. Vena prakrityeva kala. Sunita garba sambhava. Atyaiva paya posha. Posha kasya pyanata breed. Vena prakrityeva kala. Sunita garba sambhava. Matas. Ayareva paya posha. Posha kasya pyanata breed. Vena prakrityeva kala. Sunita garba sambhava. Ayareva paya posha. Posha kasya pyanata breed. Vena prakrityeva kala. Sunita garba sambhava. I hear of a snake, eva like paya with milk, posha maintaining, posha kasya of the maintainer, api even, anatha against the interest, bread becomes Vena, King Vena, Prakritya by nature, Eva certainly, Kalha mischievous, Shunita of Sunita, Vena's mother, Garba the womb, Sambhava born of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The sages began to think within themselves. Because he was born from the womb of Sunita, King Vena is by nature very mischievous. Supporting this mischievous king is exactly like maintaining a snake with milk. Now he has become a source of all difficulties. Let's repeat the word for word. The sages began to think within themselves. Because he was born from the womb of Sunita, King Vena is by nature very mischievous. Supporting this mischievous king is exactly like maintaining a snake with milk. Now it has become a source of all difficulties. Purport. Saintly persons are generally aloof from social activities and the materialistic way of life. King Vena was supported by the saintly persons just to protect the citizen from the hands of rogues and thieves. But after his ascendance to the throne, he became a source of trouble to the sages. Saintly people are especially interested in performing sacrifices and austerities for the advancement of spiritual life. But Vena, instead of being obliged because of the saint's mercy, turned out to be the enemy, because he prohibited them from executing their ordinary duties. A serpent who is maintained with milk and bananas simply stores poison in his teeth and awaits the day to bite his master. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumalitam Jaina Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyahevacha Patitanum Pavinebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is the history of this king, Vaina, who was the son of, anybody know who is the son of? Anga, Maharaj Anga, yes. Actually, Maharaj Anga, when this child was born, this child turned out to be bad. And here it says that he took the nature of his mother. So in this marriage, of course, it was very incompatible marriage. The mother was said to be the daughter of of sin personified. Yeah, and therefore it is said, genealogically, the sons take up after the mother, and the daughters gravitate towards the father. Is that true? You have a tendency to be attached to your father more, right? And the mother, boys generally gravitate towards the mother, so they develop that nature of the mother. So here it is said, and because she was from a source of bad omen, therefore he inherited that from his mother, that side of his mischievousness. And this child, as he grew up, he was bad. If you knew anything about bad children, he would play with with the young boys, and he would throttle them, like playing, and he would kill them, thinking it's nothing. And what you speak of the animals, he would also very, he had this kind of streak of evil about him. But Maharaj Anga tried to correct him in so many ways, and he failed. It is said that when a child is not obedient to the father, and the mother is also of the same nature, then the father should leave home, should not associate. So, one night he just went away. He just went away, and he left the kingdom without a king. And the people were very concerned, who will take over the... so it was because he was the heir. This Vaina was the heir to the throne. So by default, actually, although he wasn't so qualified to be a king, they gave him that position of king. And here we see his nature. Actually, he was so bad that even the thieves and rogues would flee. That is, he got one thing right. He had that. But then again, on the other kind side of that, he stopped all Brahminical activities, like the Brahmins. Yeah, it's mentioned they would perform yagyas, and by performance of yagyas, rainfall will come. There's a chain, isn't it? When you perform yagya, then rain falls. When the rain comes, then there's grains, ample grains, and the rivers are flowing, and there's wonderful pasture. But as a result of this, everything came to a halt. There was no rainfall. It was just dust, and there was famine. There was no food. And the Brahmins were unemployed. They had no work because of this King Vaina. So they conspired. This is a bad king. We have to do something. So they conspired, and they kind of put him away. Got rid of him. Yeah. And anyway, this part of the story. Yeah, so Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Vaina Mashishtam Guna Karma Vibhaga Saha, 413, famous verse there. I created the 4 divisions of society: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and so these are the social order. And it's the analogy of the body is given. The head represents the Brahmanas, the head of society, the intellectual class, and the Kshatriyas represented the arms, the shoulders, and they represented like the kings. Kshatriyas were the kings, rulers, administrators, fell in that category. And then you had the Vaishyas, the mercantile, the farmers, and bankers all fall in this category of Vaishya, business, isn't like that? Keeping cows, dairy, farming, all this fell under the category of Vaishya. And then the 4th class was the Sudras, the skilled labor class, labor class. So this was was created by God Himself, nothing to do with caste system like that. What we have today is a perverted reflection of the caste system, of what Krishna said, Guna and Karma, I created according to the quality and the work. Didn't mention anything about birth, Janma. Didn't say. I created according to the Guna and Karma. The Guna, the qualities. The quality of a Brahmana is the mode of goodness, isn't? The glaring quality is the mode of goodness. The Kshatriya, because he has to administrate and fight and defend and protect the people, he has to be in a mode of passion. You can't go smiling in a war scene, isn't? And be cool about it. No, you have to be agitated, isn't? Geared up, fired up to fight, isn't? Or same when you play a big soccer match, isn't? You can't be cool about it. You have to, isn't? Be psyched up. So Kshatriyas are psyched up in mood of passion. Or same with the administrators, because they have to govern and they have to be in that mood of passion. And then the Sudras were the lower class or the labor class, generally in the mode of, Vaishyas are in the mixed modes, goodness, passion, or in the lower modes of nature. And the Sudras, but in the Tamagun, they controlled by the Tama means the mode of ignorance, like that. So this was the divisions of society, and which is we call Vana Ashram or Daivi Vana Ashram, a spiritual communism as such. A spiritual communism created by God Himself. Because then we have the spiritual orders, brahmachari, householder, vanaprastha, sannyas. Then there's education. Once gets educated, then he decides to get householder life. Isn't? When his education is complete, he gets into household life to a certain age, and then he retires from household life. Vanaprastha. Vana means to go to the forest. When one goes to the forest, means gradually is renouncing everything of material life, family life, wife, children, because they're big enough by that time to support themselves. And then finally, sannyas, which is the completely renounced order of life. So these Varna and Ashram, they were a very balanced society, a perfect society, which was prevalent 5,000 years ago. The Vedic culture was very, very prevalent. And now we see a semblance of that. A semblance, maybe some semblance of that. Some people have a natural inclination for politics, isn't? Some have a natural inclination to be intellectuals. Some have a natural for farming or keeping. And then those are skilled laborers. Those are skilled, very much skilled. They have a natural affinity for that. So it's there. There's a semblance of that there. But in Kali Yuga, there's no head. So what happens when there's no head in society? It's like a chicken cut off. When you cut the head of a chicken, it's just running aimlessly, isn't nowhere, no direction, or headless. So present this Kali Yuga is like that. It's running without good, some good advice. The Brahmanas have somehow been compromised. Even there's no real Kshatriyas there also, real Kshatriya. I'll read later from the book, Giriraj Swami's book about. Later we'll read about that. So yeah, this Varna Ashram. So yeah, so the Brahmanas they are the head of society, and they have to do something, to this king. So they're very concerned. He has become a source of all difficulties. What to do? They have to solve the problem, isn't? So that society can come back to normal again, so that everything will flourish again. The rains will come, the yagyas will be performed, there's ample crops, the cows are fed nicely, and they will give milk. It's all, like a kind of chain reaction there with everything. Jai Sri Sri Radharanath Ki, Shil Prabhupada Ki, Jai Go Premanandi. The Prabhupada makes the point, he says, saintly persons are generally aloof from social activities and their materialistic way of life. Saintly persons, they avoid the association of materialistic people. Generally, a saintly person will avoid such people because there's a chance of becoming contaminated by such opulence, materialistic opulence like that, and it is not good for them. And we see in the pastime of, I was reading this pastime of Lord Chaitanya and Jagannath Puri during the Ratha Yatra, and there was this king Prataparudra, who was the king of Jagannath Puri, and King Prataparada was sweeping the streets before the cart. Generally, this is the tradition. The leader or the head of the society will go before the cart and pave the way for Jagannath, make it clean. So the king was doing a very great service. It was devotional service, actually, although he was a king. And this king was also very much wanted to have the darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is non-different from Jagannath or the Supreme Person of Godhead. But somehow Lord Chaitanya was avoiding him. He was seeing him from a point of being a king who was very much attached to women and money, opulences like that. So he was kind of avoiding him. But this king somehow wanted the darshan. He was so desperate for the darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So through the intervention of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was a close associate of Lord Chaitanya, and so Bhattacharya told, the Lord, He understands you, that you are doing devotional service, but the Lord is also a world leader, and as a sannyasi, He has to set some standards, not to associate with, although He appreciates your service. But don't worry, at some point He will meet with you. He assured him like that. I just wanted to read that, what Prabhupada says in that purport. This is from the Madhya Leela, chapter 13, text 61. Srila Prabhupada says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was playing the part of a world-class teacher. He did not agree to see the king because the king is a mundane person interested in money and women. As a sannyasi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was afraid of both money and women. The very word king is repugnant Prabhupada is writing this. Very heavy. To one who is in the renounced order of life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused to see the king, but indirectly, by the Lord's causeless mercy, the king was able to understand the Lord's mysterious activities. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities were exhibited sometimes to reveal himself as the Supreme Personal of Godhead, and sometimes to show him as a devotee. Both kinds of activities are mysterious and appreciated only by pure devotees. Yeah. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also is described as Namo Mahavadanyaya, isn't it? Krishna Prema. He is the most magnanimous of all the incarnations of Krishna, Narayan, Vishnu, Ram. They all came with some condition. They had weapons. They subdued the the enemies, or those who were giving trouble to the sadhus with weapons. Ram carried bow and arrow, sword. Vishnu had the chakra, isn't he? With the chakra and the gada. There's 4 symbols of Vishnu, isn't there? There's the lotus flower, and then there's the conch shell, Sank. Then there's the gada. The gada is the club, and there's the disc, the chakra. So these 4, Vishnu is always decorated with these 4 items. The 2 items is for blessings, the conch shell and the lotus flower to give blessings, and the 2 other is to subdue the demons, the duskriti, isn't the chakra to and the gada, of course, also to bring them in line, or to subdue them. So that way, these weapons. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't come with any weapons as such. He said his beauty was his weapon. Astra. Astra is his beauty. His golden color, luster. That he was so beautiful. He looked with his long black hair. And they were attracted by that beauty. His astra was his weapon. Nothing else. And of course, he was giving love of God indiscriminately, whether one deserved it or not, whether you qualified or not. So in this Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya's mercy is pervading. And everybody, whether they qualified or not, can take to this process of Sankirtan, just by glorifying this wonderful personality who came for that purpose, to propagate the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that was his weapon, the holy name, and his beauty, and his mercy. We sing that wonderful song, isn't it? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Kora More Toma Bina Ke Doyalu Jagat Samsare. Very beautiful, describing Lord Chaitanya's and his associates also included there in that beautiful song. So this is, we do not think Lord Chaitanya is harsh. Even as a sannyasi, the women disciples of his would stand, offer obeisance from a distance. They would not come. From a distance, they would very respectfully offer. He had to set the bar for a sannyasi. And there was one incident where it was a very disturbing incident where one of his associates, Junior Haridas, the sannyasis would would simply go out and beg every day. They didn't have any money. The madhukari means you go out like bees, go from flower to flower to beg, to take the nectar. So they would go out and beg at least to 5 householders. So one day Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to make a feast. Of course, they had to secure some boga, so everybody went out to bring some boga. So Junior Haridas also went, and he came back with some very fragrant smelling rice. And Lord Chaitanya was tasting this rice and he's wondering, who got this rice? And it turned out that Haridas, Junior Haridas, he said, yeah, I got it. So where did you get it from? He says, I got it from some woman. Oh, you're associated with the woman. And Lord Chaitanya was very, very strict about that. As from today, you are not in my company. You are kind of barred him from his company. And Haridas took it very, very badly. He could not, it was very painful for him to be outside the association of devotees. It's so much so that he committed suicide. He could not bear the separation from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, the associates, they were very critical. They weren't very happy with the decision. And they were trying to argue on the behalf of, and Lord Chaitanya blocked his ears. He says, no, I will leave this place if you persist. There was Swarup Damodhar and his closest, so they were appealing on behalf of, you're too harsh, my Lord. That decision of yours is very draconian decision. Too harsh. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no. That was the... So, like that, the leaders of society have to set a good example. And of course, the Brahminical culture is not so present in this Kali Yuga, and Srila Prabhupada established this ISKCON movement for that purpose, to create a Brahminical culture, Brahminical society, to restore some sanity to this decaying society. We see that, isn't it? It is so much of leaders in the guise of leaders. They are pillaging and corruption, rogues and thieves, in the guise of being leaders, isn't it? And we see that. Despotic kings, so many we can give examples of bad kings, bad leaders. I was thinking of King Aurangzeb. Was the son of Shah Jahan, right? Who built the Taj Mahal. The famous Taj Mahal. It took like 5,000 or many thousands of laborers, skilled labor to build that monument, and became one of the 7 wonders of the world. But it's just some, what do you call it, mausoleum. It's like a samadhi tomb for his wife. And everybody goes to see this. A lot of tourists go there, which is just not for devotees. Devotees, they don't get any joy from seeing that. It's just, isn't? But you know what he did? I don't know how true this is, the account of this, that after they had completed this building, he called all these skilled workers and he cut off their thumb so they would not replicate this building. Is that true, that part of the story? He did that, right? Okay. So it's true. I heard something that wasn't verified. Thank you. So he cut off all their right thumb, which was there. So he didn't want anybody to replicate that building, that Taj Mahal. He cut off their thumbs. That's how evil he was. But then again, he had a son was just as evil as him, King Aurangzeb. And King Aurangzeb, he saw this beautiful 7-story, that the Goswamis had erected, isn't? And he broke down, it destroyed 3 stories. At least the temple is still there, right? It is still there, part of it is still there. But 3 stories, because he was envious of the Vedic culture. He was seeing it as a threat to, because they were actually, that time, India was under Mughal rule, under Muslim rule. And he, of course, all the Brahmanas were killed or made to convert, isn't, to Islam. And of course, the murtis, they broke all the murtis, destroyed all the murtis, and he was using it as to adorn his steps in his palace. That's how bad he was, King Aurangzeb. And he had his own father imprisoned in that very tomb that he built, Shah Jahan built. He had him imprisoned in that same tomb. And he had one of his brothers killed. He didn't want any rivalry, isn't he? He wanted to be an unrivaled leader. He killed his own brother. Yes. Evil. So these leaders today, I mean, a few hundred years ago, there was many history of tyrant leaders, isn't? We know in Africa or in Haiti, so many French in France, England. At that time, there was, King Henry VIII. He changed the course of history. He wanted to marry another queen, and the Roman Catholic Church were against it. You can't have 2 wives. They were totally against. So he kind of formed the Protestant. And today's division, up to today, there's Protestant. Either you're Protestant or a Catholic. And this has also caused so much of division there. And so many people died in the name of religion. So these are terrible leaders. And people. And it was, I remember in English history, with English, there was one famous, Oliver Cromwell. He made a famous point. He says, taxation without representation is tyranny. He was for the people, and the people were being taxed, but they weren't represented. Taxation without representation. This was I remember this line. Is tyranny. So he revolted against yes, yeah. Okay, so much for that. Then we're coming to I don't know, where were you in the 70s? When the dancing white elephants, Prabhupada selected a group of devotees for the first time to come to India. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this was the account given, very vivid account, graphic account in this book by Giriraj Swami, Dancing White Elephants. These were foreign, they were made up of Canadians, Americans, white-bodied, going to India for the first time, the culture, experiencing the culture shock of living in such places, living the opulence, America with all its trappings of wealth and luxury, because they were so dear to Srila Prabhupada. They would do anything for Srila Prabhupada. Because here is one account where Prabhupada is taking them to Surat. This account is in Amritsar. This was in 1970. Amritsar. I'll just read one of Prabhupada's invitations came from Baladev Indra Singh. Hare Krishna. Baladev Indra Singh is the last of the Kshatriyas, a genuine Kshatriya. Prabhupada came from Baladev Indra Singh, a Kshatriya king and heir to one of the oldest, most prominent dynasties in Punjab. Maharaj Singh was a robust Punjabi Kshatriya with a full beard and a turban wrapped around his head. And he carried himself with confidence that belied his small stature. His estate was set on acres of farmland with a herd of cows. His residence, Mother Yamuna is recounting the story. She was one of Prabhupada's part of the group, the Mother Yamuna. So she's saying, recounting this, observed, a single-story building composed of thick walls, lead-frame windows, and rooms with 14 feet high ceilings was beautifully detailed in every way. Hanging high on the walls in ornate frames were 5 to 8 feet paintings of ancestral family members. Corpulent warriors in ancient armor sat on top of caparisoned horses. New word, I never heard of that word. Caparisoned horses, or bejeweled men stared with proud visages in kingly costumes and magnificent crowns, all wearing their ceremonial swords encrusted with gems, along with silk sashes, feathers, and peacock fans. So she's describing this very graphically. Several of us had come earlier with Prabhupada's small deity to set up the program. It was our first experience with a Kshatriya, and we didn't know how Prabhupada would respond to Singh and the Kshatriya trappings of his palatial surroundings. But he was openly enthusiastic. This is Giriraj Swami writing about it. The walls of the king's spacious dining room were adorned with the heads of animals he had killed, trophies. So the tradition of a Kshatriya that he had to fight barehanded with tigers to hone his skills. To be a Kshatriya, to fight barehanded and kill the tiger or whatever wild animals there. So here we see that. He had killed wildebeest, elephants, lions, tigers, and antelopes. But Prabhupada explained to us, Kshatriyas must hunt animals to practice how to kill people in battle. A Kshatriya's dharma is to fight, so they must practice by hunting. This is described in the Vedas. We are in the house of a real Kshatriya. Prabhupada brought before the king's prize trophy the enormous head of a tiger. He examined it closely and asked, "You have killed us?" "Yes," Singh replied. "The man-eater had killed many people in a nearby village, so I went and shot it." Prabhupada's eyes widened and he turned to us. "Oh, very nice." When Singh brought in a plate of boga and asked Prabhupada to make an offering, Prabhupada sang Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Boga Arti song, Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. He rarely sang bhajans or led kirtan, and the rest of us were merged in an ocean of bliss. I had a clear perception that Krishna was in fact with Prabhupada, as his divine grace offered his heart along with the food. Sitting on the floor with Prabhupada, above him in a chair, Mr. Singh confided that there was something troubling him. An astrologer had told him that in a previous lifetime he had fought in the battle of Kurukshetra, but on the side against Krishna, and he was very worried about it. Prabhupada assured him that this was not possible. Why was it not possible? Why was it not possible? Because, yes, they were all liberated. So his story is not bears any credibility. So Prabhupada assured him that it is not. Everyone who was killed in the battle was liberated, he said. If you had actually been there, you would not still be in the material world. Singh couldn't quite grasp the point and wasn't sure whether to feel relieved or disappointed. But Prabhupada said, "That's all right. Don't worry. Now you are a devotee of Krishna. Everything is all right." And when Singh's son came in, Prabhupada opened his eyes wide and relating to the king's Kshatriya spirit, he said, "Oh, he looks just like Maharaj Parikit." When it was time to honor the rich, spicy Punjabi feast, the rest of us were a bit hesitant. But as Prabhupada calmly began to eat, we relaxed and joined him. Our host was completely charmed. He said that when he had extended his invitation, he'd been a little dubious about us. There was some rumor about him being, what? um, agents, isn't? Oh, yeah, CIA agents. So he was. Yeah, he's saying he was a little dubious first. Yet, yeah. Our host was completely charmed. He said that when he had extended his invitation, he'd been a little dubious about us. But after speaking to Srila Prabhupada for a few minutes, all of his doubts and suspicions had been removed. As was often the case, I was amazed and impressed by how perfectly Prabhupada could understand people's moods and reciprocate with them perfectly. And when he asked Marj Singh to join our life membership program, by which people would pay an amount and receive all of Prabhupada's books, a subscription to Back to Godhead magazine, and the facility to stay for free in our centers, Singh agreed without hesitation. The first and only life member we made in Amritsar. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Is there any? How much time? Are we for time? And I'll take any questions or comments.
Krishna. Very good. Is that on? It is. I thought it was interesting in the word for word how Prabhupada translated anartha as
Yeah.
against the interest. And it is talking about how maintaining the snake with milk is against our interest.
Yes.
It made me think of the same like with material desires. It's an anartha because when we maintain these things, they just become stronger and they come back to bite us later. So it's like the material desires are like the snake. We have to realize it's against our interest. Just like the people feed the monkeys in Vrindavan, as they don't do that, they just get more vicious and come back and expect more. Because what happens then is the material desires are like the snake and the monkey, that when you feed them, then they expect to be fed and they punish you if you don't feed them. It's like the monkeys out in the wilderness. It's like the ones here. People don't feed them much, so they won't come and attack you. But people think if I pacify the material desires, it said every other day in the Bhaktivedanta hospital, Delhi people come in because they've tried to give a banana to the monkey and the monkey bites them or scratches them. And so we have to realize that just like maintaining the snake, maintaining material desires is against our interest, and they'll bite us for with more venom by all the energy we've given them.
Well, traditionally, people, you'll see sometimes there's a snake, there's a kind of sand heap, and people think there's a snake there, and they decorate it, and they put milk and fruit, and they worship that. I think there's Nagas. In India, it's the tradition. Even here, because the Indians came here, they also, you'll see many places. You'll see a hill on the road. All of a sudden, you'll see it's all nicely decorated.
Oh, but we don't worship snakes.
Kungu and all kinds of aridi and cloth, garland, and they worship. I think there's a snake in there, and they feed milk and put milk and things also. Yeah.
We won't be doing that today, right?
Yeah. Manga Prabhu is from India, India Wala, Delhi Wala. Welcome. Is another? Where is he? Devraj? On. Any other questions or comments? Rukmini? Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Purports ki. Go Premanandi. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
You're from India, but you've been here a long time, haven't you? Want to put this somewhere? Where does this go? How long have you been here?